Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
Here at JoBlo, we love Bruce Willis. About a year ago, when we heard that he was going to be stepping back from acting due to his tragic aphasia diagnosis, we were as shocked as everyone else, even if there were signs that things weren't great with Willis going back a number of years. His last truly prominent role was in M. Night Shyamalan's Glass back in 2019, while his last lead role was in Eli Roth's Death Wish. Since then, it's been chiefly VOD movies for Willis, where his roles were secondary at best. Something just didn't seem right, and well, now we know the truth, that in fact he's suffering from frontotemporal dementia. Whatever the case, we here at JoBlo Originals wish to extend our very best to the man and his family at this difficult time, but we also wanted to take a moment to celebrate his long career, and if this is the end of his acting career, well, he leaves behind one heck of a legacy, which we're going to explore here.
Man, there's a place in this crazy world for us. If this guy's making it big and he's so cool.
If you're a child of the 80s, as many of us are here at JoBlo, the name Bruce Willis looms large. Along with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, he was one of the kings of action. These three titans were celebrated as action movie gods, and the three famously parlayed this into their Planet Hollywood chain. Still, there was something different about Willis compared to the other two. Unlike them, Willis was never pigeonholed in the action genre. It was easy to accept him in virtually any kind of role, which you couldn't really say about Stallone, and you certainly couldn't say about Schwarzenegger, and that's not a dig against either of them in any way. They were just as great, but Willis, he was an everyman. Maybe it's because of that his stardom seemed to be more consistent than just about anyone else's in Hollywood.
Do bees bee? Do bears bear? First time I heard that was David Addison in Moonlighting, a rerun I was watching, and I loved it. I loved everything about Bruce. Bruce Willis made it funny.
His career began on the small screen when he landed the role of a lifetime as a private eye named David Addison on the show Moonlighting opposite Sybil Shepherd.
My first memory of Bruce Willis was in Moonlighting, which was a show that just totally rocked my world when I was that age. I just thought it was great.
He seemingly came out of nowhere with only a bad guy role on Miami Vice to his resume. Audiences quickly warmed to this Jersey wise guy who immediately became a sex symbol. He was the guy every woman wanted and hey, every guy wanted to be. He was everywhere on the small screen for a while and could make anything look cool, even being a pitchman for Seagram's wine coolers.
This is where the fun starts. Seagram's wine coolers. This is where the fun starts. Seagram's wine coolers.
He even put out an album, the much-mocked Return of Bruno, which we gotta say isn't half bad.
Don't forget the Return of Bruno. Yes, I had that album.
His single Respect Yourself, a cover of the Staple Singer classic, hit number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100, and he earned a gold record. Not bad for a fella from Jersey. At the same time, Willis made his first movie as a lead, Blake Edwards' Blind Date, which cast him very much in the Moonlighting mode as this cool guy ad exec who winds up on the date from hell with the gorgeous Kim Basinger, who loses all control when she drinks. For many of us who weren't allowed to stay up late and watch Moonlighting, this was our first exposure to Willis. The movie was a smash, and Willis was next offered an incredible $2 million in 1988 money to star in the action flick Die Hard. Incredibly, no one thought it would amount to much, as nearly every leading man in Hollywood had passed on it. Willis made John McClane perhaps the most iconic action hero of all time.
Of course. The greatest action movie ever made, Die Hard, which I have 2 Blu-rays of for some reason.
Willis's McClane was a legit human being rather than an action god, and it helped that he was able to develop the part with action director extraordinaire John McTiernan. His McClane was headstrong and vulnerable. When the movie starts, he's trying to patch things up with his estranged wife so he can spend Christmas with his family. When terrorists take over Nakatomi Plaza, he becomes an unlikely hero, picking them off one by one to save his wife, but he's a reluctant hero at best. He's forced into action. There are a lot of little quirks that make him relatable, such as the fact that he's stuck without shoes for most of the movie, and in a violent scene is forced to run across broken glass. In any other movie, the hero would have shrugged this off, but instead we get a brutal moment where he pulls glass from his feet while weeping as he tells Reginald L. Johnson's Al that he doesn't think he's going to survive the night. The late Alan Rickman matches him as the iconic Hans Gruber, and Willis shoots off one-liners with aplomb, giving everything a sense of levity to keep it fun. I mean, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. It shouldn't be a good line, but holy shit, is it cool coming out of his mouth.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Audiences agreed and made the movie a monster hit. Willis followed it up with a couple of dramas. Norman Jewison's In Country and the disastrous Bonfire of the Vanities didn't do much for his career, but lightning struck twice with Die Hard 2, Die Harder. He followed it up with a wisecracking vanity vehicle called Hudson Hawk, which almost ended his career in 1991, but gets better retrospectively with every passing year.
Okay, best ever Bruce Willis movies. I mean, obviously Die Hard, obviously Pulp Fiction, obviously The Sixth Sense, but let's not forget Blind Date. That was my first Bruce Willis movie. Hudson Hawk, a movie that's very hip to hate, but I personally love and is the quintessential Bruce Willis movie to me.
How am I driving? 1-800, I'm gonna f***ing die!
My favorite Bruce Willis movies are Moonrise Kingdom, Unbreakable, Death Becomes Her, and Pulp Fiction.
My favorite performance of Bruce Willis's would probably have to be Death Becomes Her. It was a very unusual role in his career at the time. It really proves how much of an incredible character actor that Bruce Willis could be.
Then came The Last Boy Scout and Striking Distance.
My personal favorite has always been The Last Boy Scout. I will forever love that movie and Bruce Willis's character in it. I honestly think that was his best single performance, was in The Last Boy Scout.
He could have been pigeonholed as an action star at this point, but he made a few intelligent career choices. One was providing the voice of Mikey the baby in Look Who's Talking, which kept his comedy bona fides alive and made him a popular figure with kids. Then, and perhaps the smartest choice of all, he took on a supporting part and played Butch the Boxer in Pulp Fiction.
Like many of a certain age, I was first introduced to Bruce Willis in the 80s because of my mom's favorite TV show, which was Moonlighting. I remember her taking me to see Die Hard 2 in the theaters, but the one that made me want to be a filmmaker from the age of 11 is not only my favorite movie, but it's also my favorite Bruce Willis movie, and that is Pulp Fiction.
It was a character actor move, and it proved how versatile he was.
My favorite Bruce Willis movie is Die Hard with a Vengeance. And as you can tell, I spent a whopping $2.99 on this, and it was worth every gosh darn penny.
He had more hits with Die Hard with a Vengeance and Terry Gilliam's 12 Monkeys, which probably should have been considered commercially dicey, but actually became a big moneymaker.
Jessica Dwyer here, and my favorite Bruce Willis movie of all time is Last Man Standing. It's Walter Hill at peak Walter Hillness. There's explosions, there's gunplay, and Bruce Willis is freaking fantastic. You got David Patrick Kelly, you have Christopher Walken, and the classic story of a lone gunslinger that comes to a town, pits the two rival gangs against each other, and wins.
You know, Blind Date is still a joy. Red was rad, and it's impossible not to remember what a fantastic actor he was with movies like Looper or In Country.
His marriage to Demi Moore was one of those iconic Hollywood unions, and at the time I doubt there was a couple in the world that was more popular than Bruce and Demi. Refreshingly, when they called it quits, neither ever said a bad word about the other, and Willis has always been considered one of the most loving parents in Hollywood, with it being one of his daughters, Rumor, who originally broke the news of his aphasia diagnosis.
Lance Velchuk here, and if I had to pick one Bruce Willis movie that means the world to me, it would be Luc Besson's The Fifth Element. It's action, it's sci-fi, it's this weird, bizarre adventure with European humor. Bruce Willis as Corbin Dallas is that sort of quintessential 90s tough guy. Of course he's in over his head, but there's that sort of wit, charm, and he holds his own. Gary Oldman, wacky southern accent. Mila Jovovich steals the show at times with that sort of fish out of water humor, and of course,
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Yeah.
Multipass.
Multipass. She knows it's a multipass. Lulu Dallas, my wife.
Meanwhile, there was also Luc Besson's iconic The Fifth Element, which is another movie that's probably more popular now than it was when it came out, but he arguably hit his peak of stardom in 1998 and 1999.
There are so many amazing Bruce Willis movies. My favorite has to be The Fifth Element. I love his performance in that movie. I love the energy, and I love his guest spot in National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1. Pure comedic genius. Chef's kiss.
What the hell are you doing? Is this 1014 Pacific Coast Highway? 1014 Pacific Coast Highway. 814 Pacific Coast Highway. 1014's 2 blocks up that way. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah, no problem.
In 1998, Bruce Willis made one of the biggest hits of his career, Armageddon, the asteroid movie directed by Michael Bay. And, funny enough, that was the film that helped inspire the creation of JoBlo, because when the film came out, the reviews were so bad that the creator of the site decided that they were kind of out of touch and that they didn't appreciate the film for what it was, just a heck of a lot of fun. So, there you go. Thanks, Bruce. He then took a chance starring in a young director named M. Night Shyamalan's thriller, The Sixth Sense. Arguably taking a backseat to young Haley Joel Osment, it became one of the biggest hits of his career and actually took him out of the action genre for a while as Hollywood started seeing him as more of a dramatic lead. He followed it with another fantastic Shyamalan vehicle, Unbreakable, and man, did Willis ever rule in that movie.
My favorite Bruce Willis movie is Unbreakable because it's an absolute masterclass in giving a subtle but strong and powerful performance.
Again, though, he could have been typecast, but he had hits with comedies like The Kid and The Whole Nine Yards. He even had a role on Friends for a while. He stayed away from the action genre for quite a bit, and in hindsight, this was a smart move, as it made him even more versatile than he had been before. Some of his movies at the time, such as Antoine Fuqua's Tears of the Sun, were unjustly ignored, but similar to what he did with Tarantino and Shyamalan, he kept connecting with younger directors, such as Robert Rodriguez. The latter used him to great effect in Sin City and Planet Terror. He would eventually move back into the action genre when Fox reactivated the Die Hard franchise with admittedly mixed results. While these movies were mediocre at best, Willis kept working with young directors, such as Rian Johnson on The Incredible Looper and Wes Anderson on Moonrise Kingdom. All the while, Willis, unlike many of his contemporaries, never tried to hide the fact that he was aging. He embraced being bald, would change up his look, and typically had age-appropriate love interests. And he just seemed too mature to do anything else, and people respected him for it.
And ladies, let me tell you, the carpets match the drapes.
He even launched another franchise with Red, and while to some those seemed to be his last hurrah of sorts, he was always respected by his peers, even showing up to have a little fun opposite his action movie friends Stallone and Schwarzenegger in the Expendables movies. All that to say, we here at JoBlo adore the man, and while this may be the end of his career, you simply can't do much better than the body of work he leaves behind, and we all hope that he has many years of happiness and good health ahead of him, and he remains a guy that we genuinely love and respect, and would like to ask all of you to please reply in the comments and leave behind your favorite memories of Bruce Willis, including your favorite movies and perhaps some well wishes.
What can I say? Moonlighting, Blind Date, Striking Distance, Sixth Sense, Last Boy Scout, Pulp Fiction, Die Hard, of course, The Return of Bruno. Yes, I do appreciate that. And helping to make bald beautiful. So thank you, Bruce, and God bless you.
God bless you and your family. We wish you the best. Thank you.
I could never fully express how much he's entertained me over the years and how much I appreciate all the work that he's done. So thank you, Bruce.
God bless Bruce Willis. What can I say? Except yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Bruce Willis is the man.
We wish you the best, Mr. Willis. And we thank you for everything you've given us, whether it's John McClane, Bruno, or just plain Bruce. We love you, Mr. Willis.
What a career. The best.
Mr. Willis, thank you so much for everything. We love you.